Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of Tower of God Chapter 340. Now, as you can probably tell, my voice is kind of dry and weak, but hopefully it'll carry me on through this. I don't know why it's so dry and weak, I don't know what's up with my voice right now. But either way, let's talk about this chapter. This is good because it's like your normal, like I even said in the reaction, or even last week, it's the area between arcs where we're going to be getting a ton of new information that'll lead us into the next arc and wrapping up some, well, not really wrapping up, but moving forward some of the long-term plot points. So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what we saw here and what my thoughts were on it part by part. We start out 1 hour after they left the floor of death. Urek tells Baam that Yuan Danhua are alive and that they're climbing the tower, trying to catch up to them. So I'm thinking maybe either they'll have a team, maybe we'll get introduced to some new characters when they catch up, or maybe they will have teamed up with characters we already know, like Team Novik and Team Ship. Maybe they teamed up with them, and next time we see that team, Yuan Danhua will be with them. So there's the possibilities for all that, or they can just show back up, just the two of them. Next up, Yujie says that he actually looked twice but never found Rak, and that just still leaves me wondering. We have no evidence, no clues for what happened to Rak, but how did he end up in the virtual floor? There is no evidence. I thought about it, and my best guess is that the girl with him isn't a data copy and that she's some girl that found him and took him to the virtual floor with her. But my only evidence for that is just that she is with him. That's the only evidence I have, and that's not good evidence at all. There's really no hints given as to how on earth Rak made it to the end of the Hell Train, past Baam and past Baam and them to the end of the Hell Train, and he doesn't know how he got there, and Yujie couldn't find him when he found the other two. It's so weird. I have no clue how Rak got there. Next up, Baam admits to Urek that he is from the outside, and Urek here is amazing. Urek this chapter, as much as I liked him, as much as I loved all the stuff he's done in the series beforehand, I feel like this chapter has made me like him more than any other thing he's done so far in the series, where he gave his little speech to Baam, you are you, don't lose your way because, Kill la Kill song getting stuck in my head now, but don't lose your way because of what all the people in the tower are going to want you to do, because you're super powerful. People in the tower are going to want you to do stuff, but you just do you. So I liked that, and his goodbyes to everyone was great too, and when he said, I'll see Baam again at a higher place, that was all really, really good, and it made me like him a lot more. Next up we see Karaka. We catch up with them. Apparently he can't open the door, presumably because he is a ranker. And he wants to use Wangnan as bait to capture Baam, which seems like one of the least useful things that he could do with Wangnan, to be honest, but I guess that's kind of a useful thing. One thing that is a negative, though, I feel like this whole Karaka's like the Team Rocket of Tower of God right now, where he keeps trying to do this evil plot and getting his ass kicked. Karaka's blasting off again, and then he comes back and tries to do it again, just blasts off, and he's kind of turning into a joke villain. It's kind of getting repetitive, so I kind of hope Karaka gets taken out of the main story soon, and he can come back into the main story later as a real villain, but I feel like the longer he stays in the main story not really doing anything very threatening, the weaker and weaker his character gets. So I kind of hope that once they get there, he's waiting with an ambush at the virtual floor. Baam's like, we gotta go onto the virtual floor, and Yuri's like, well, I can't get onto it anyway. Karaka can't get onto it anyway. So then Yuri just clotheslines Karaka off the train or something. I don't know. Maybe even Yuri starts fighting Karaka, and the fight carries on off the train, and the train carries on without them, and that's how we get Yuri out of the main story too. Because I really like Yuri, and I like her being here as sort of this mentor to Baam, but I feel like she's here too much at this point. I like Jinsung being there as a mentor to Baam. I like Urek Masno being there as a mentor to Baam. But Urek and Jinsung just show up every now and then. They aren't there all the time. I feel like we've gotten to the point on the Hell Train where I'm, again, kind of like with Karaka, the Yuri and Karaka stuff is getting a little bit repetitive, and I kind of hope that I kind of hope both Yuri and Karaka start distancing themselves from the main story for just a little while to give us time to breathe, and then they can come back on and off. Like, if we have main characters from, like, the early beginning of the series, like Ship and his team, if we have them coming in and out of the story every once in a while, there's no reason we can't do the same with Yuri and Karaka. Yuri, though, is very important to the story, and I would consider her a main-ish character, but I still think that she probably shouldn't be there all the time. So, moving on from that, I liked Andrasi saying she feels like a driver, because that's kind of what she got stuck doing last arc, is just moving people around with the bong bong. Yuri's hanging there to Baam was funny. Then Baam tells Koon about the Master Key, and he says that, we can't really tell or ask Sachi or Boro, because if they talk to us about it, then the rules say that their data will be erased, and we don't know if they want to do that. So they go and ask Puropo. Puropo didn't even know it existed. Apparently, though, from what he says, the key allows you to physically enter the virtual... Well, maybe not even physically, but it's like a failsafe. It allows you to enter as is, so I'm assuming it's a physical thing, because they said if you don't find an exit, you can't get out. So I assume that it means you can open the door and actually enter with your physical body or something. And then that's the danger, is that if you get killed in a virtual floor or something when it's your actual self, then you're kind of screwed. So I think it works something along those lines, but it does allow them to carry things out with them. And of course, Baam and Koon mention later, we don't know if we can do this with Boro or Sachi, because he says another rule of it is that if you go in using the key, that it will erase your data. So the room is confusing. I have no idea who would even have versions of themselves there anyway. We know Zahard at least, but I mean, you figure approximately 100,000 people have reached the top of the tower and become rankers. Now, of those people that have become rankers, how many of those 100,000 even went on the Hell Train? The Hell Train is supposed to be super exclusive, and of those who rode the Hell Train, how many made it to the end? You would figure if even high rankers, of which there are only 1,000, if even high rankers haven't made it to the end of the train, like say Yuri said she didn't bother with it or something. So yeah, that makes me wonder, how many people are there even on the floor of death? There can't be that many, really, in the grand scheme of things. And would Sachi and Boro even have one there? Did they make it to the end, technically? I mean, I don't know. Did they ride it to the end, or did they get off after the whole Joaquin and Rowan situation? Because if they rode it to the end, I guess that would mean there could be potentially data copies of Akka and Rowan and Daniel there as well. Or it'll be interesting if instead of using the key, they do the whole sync with your data version thing, so that for that arc it's like young Sachi and young Boro were there. That would be pretty interesting. But yeah, either way, no idea what's going on with this room or floor. Irure is referred to as he here, but I looked up because I was like, he's referred to as he, but he's always seemed like a girl, so I'm going to have to go around and do some research for that. And it seems like it wasn't really a he, it was more of a gender-neutral they kind of deal. We still don't know what gender Irure is, pretty much. But now there is some question to it. And when there is some question to it, I'm presuming guy, because Siu likes to do this to us. Make very, very feminine-looking characters, but they're guys. Siu's done this many times, so I can only assume Irure might be a he. So Irure says in a message that they're going to find an item. So it seems like they're working for somebody that they actually know and do more than it seems like they're knowing or doing. And I'm assuming my guess for who they're working for would be the Eurasia family. Because if the Pobedao family wants this item, it's safe to assume the Eurasia, who are almost like rivals to them at this point because of the issues that went on with N, it would make sense that the Eurasia family wants this item as well. So Yurudo is like the spy going for this item the whole time or something, apparently. Or maybe they were just going for the item and this whole bomb situation sort of fell into their lap. But either way, there is one station left, Koon says, so they need to do all the virtual floor stuff before the train makes it to the next station, which should mean that the next few chapters in this storyline is probably going to it's probably going to happen relatively quick. Because I don't remember what they actually said the time between stations was, but I think it's only like a month maybe 1 to 3 months, but I don't think it's a long time between stations. So, yeah, I think it's around a month. So, if that is in fact the case, then this shouldn't be too long of an arc. Where are we? Baam says that he's waiting for Rachel to wake up before deciding who should get ownership of the second Thorn Fragment. And I know a lot of people are going to complain about this. And we as viewers, of course, we don't want Rachel to have it. She killed Akraptor. He's terrible. But I kind of understand where Baam's coming from here, because he did make his promise that, like, and he mentions he made a promise to Rachel. It was his promise, like, whoever passes this test, and the test, of course, was to free Dasa and get revenge on Heljo, whoever does that can get the Thorn Fragment. And the fact of the matter is, neither one of them really got revenge on Heljo, and neither one of them really saved Dasa either, but Rachel was with the rescue team, so she did play somewhat of a part there. So yeah, that one is a little bit, it's a gray area. I wouldn't complain if Rachel got it, because I think it would make her a better villain. It had even more complexity to her as a villain. I still want to, I want to know how Baam is going to react finding out that she killed Akraptor, though. I think that's going to be a big sort of reveal and test with the relationship between Baam and Rachel. Baam also reveals apparently now he can create bongs of Shinsu, like, at a way greater distance, like a couple hallways away, it looks like. And he says that he can read situations better now, and I'm thinking that he probably means, like, combat-wise, like if he was fighting he could read movements better. I think that's what he means by that, but it was kind of a vague way to word it there. And he says it's almost like the Red Tharissa. Well, who would have known that the Red Tharissa jumped into him? We did see that happen, though, so it's kind of cool, and I like the artwork there. I like that the Red Tharissa that we see in the panel with Baam looks like way cooler than it looked before, in my opinion. It already looks pretty cool. So then Haku apparently has his eyes back, but it's just this weird badge thing that he's looking at. He does still seem to have the future side eyes in, though, which is cool. He also thinks that his painting may be a clue to the Thorn location, and he says he feels like the Thorn is calling him to lead Baam to it. So I guess that means he's sort of taken it up as his new mission to lead Baam to get all the Thorn fragments, which I like, because I like Haku. I like Haku and Baam's relationship here. But on the other hand, it does make Warrion a little bit less useful, because though she's a guide, Haku can friggin' see the future, and that's a bit of a level above a normal guide, in a way, I think. But either way, Warrion is still useful. It's just that having Haku now, that's more of an immediate gratification sort of useful. Then, at the very end, we see Gustang talking to someone and saying that he gave Rachel a new power. I think it could be FUG or it could be Head-On, since Head-On was kind of using Rachel as a pawn. Not sure why for either of them, why he would be working with them, but I'm sure he has his reasons, and of course Steve's just given us more mystery thrown upon us. And also the thing that Rachel has that's presumably the new power, it looks really familiar. I can't piece what it looks like, but it looks like something else that we've seen in Tower of God before. I don't know if it's somebody's observer or something, but we've seen something that looks eerily similar to that before. I just can't remember what it is, for whatever reason. Also, getting into the blog info, Steve said in the blog that this is a bridge arc, obviously between the floor of death and the virtual floor. He said it's also sort of like going to be a calm, slower, calm before the storm type arc, and he says that it's going to be about the regulars and their relationships, because originally the story was supposed to be about the regulars, not the rankers, and thank you, I hope we kind of get back to that, because the Floor of Death really didn't have enough focus on the regulars for me. But he also mentioned specifically Andrasi and Rachel are going to have stories coming. So I'm pretty excited for that. I do definitely want to see more of Andrasi now, since she has seen Garam and what that's going to do for her character. And Rachel as well, because it's interesting to see her with Baam's team, where Koon still probably wants to kill her, to be fair. So it is interesting to see how this dynamic will go with Rachel there with them. Especially, at some point we still got to see Baam find out about her killing Akraptor, which is very, very important, given that Baam and him were friends and allies, and she murdered him. So, either way, I really liked this one. I thought it had a lot of good info. It did what it's supposed to do as a bridge arc chapter, which is sort of push forward those long-running storylines, and to give us a bunch of new mysteries that we want answered for future arcs. And the art was nice too. I liked that we had a good few comedy panels that were nice. Other than that, I liked it a lot. So, as a score, I haven't really thought that much about what to give it as a score, because it's hard to score something like this where it's about the journey, not about a single condensed storyline. I want to give it I think it's fair to give it an 8, because we did get a lot of... It's barely an 8, but I'm going to give it an 8. 8 weird eye badge things out of 10. 8 out of 10, I'm going to barely give it that 8, because we did get a lot of information here. And I think one of the biggest things for me was actually Irure being a potential, not really a traitor, but being after the item as well. I think that was good, just because Irure has been there for forever and hasn't really been that important, and now it's given her some importance, and B, I wasn't expecting it at all, and I think not expecting it is what's made me really like it. So that's it. Either way, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this video, or what you thought of the chapter, my thoughts on it and all that. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. If you want a link to the Discord, just ask and I'll give you one. That's it. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.